Hello, thank you for joining us to learn a little bit more about Amherst College during what I'm sure is a very difficult time for many. This is a wonderful opportunity to learn a little bit more about the Amherst community, what makes us unique, particularly as it relates to our Career Resource Center and the services that they provide. Before we begin, I just wanted to go over some ground rules for how this panel will be conducted. Participants, mic and video is muted. Questions will be asked based on questions that was previously submitted. However, if you would like to ask questions, you get an opportunity to submit those questions prior to this panel starting. You could direct message me via the chat feature, and I will do my best to get through as many of the questions as we possibly can. I will begin by asking the panelists to briefly introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about what they do in your Career Resource Center.
Great, hi. Thanks for being here. It's really nice to still have an opportunity to connect with all of you, even though we sadly can't do it on campus this spring. My name is Emily Griffin, and I'm the director of the Loeb Center for Career Exploration and Planning. I'm a New Yorker. I'm sure there's some New Yorkers here on the video call. There usually are, but I'm really happy to be living here in beautiful New England. I've been at Amherst for almost 6 years now. And in the Loeb Center, we have a really robust team, really robust career center operations. And I have two members of our team with us here today who will introduce themselves in a moment, as well as one of our favorite colleagues who's the director of the Fellowships Office. So another really fantastic office on campus that focuses on some really fantastic postgraduate opportunities. In the Loeb Center, we have a really interesting advising model called the Career Community Model, where in addition to some advisors who are generalists who can help people who are completely undecided, really open, do not yet know what they might want to pursue professionally, we have several advisors on staff who are specialists, and they help students explore career paths in a really deep dive focused way. So we have career communities for arts and communication, and you're going to hear more about that from Carla Costa, who's on this call today, business and finance, education professions, health professions, science and technology, and then government, nonprofit, and law. And within each of these communities, we have a lot of different programming, alumni networks, different kinds of opportunities. Carla will talk to you a little bit more about that, but that's really the centerpiece of our center and how it's organized. The other really big piece of our portfolio in the Loeb Center is our focus on internships. We are obsessed with internships. They are really important opportunities to both just continue to explore, understand more about yourself and what your interests are, but also get some professional experience and contacts. And so we have a dedicated team that works every day on identifying and securing internship opportunities for our students, advising and supporting our students as they find internships, and also throughout the summers when they have internships. And then we have a lot of other processes and programs that our team member Victoria Wilson will tell you about. And then in addition to that, we have a team that just focuses on employer relations and recruiting for full-time opportunities and some other pieces of the puzzle. So I'm going to leave it at that. That's a brief description of what we're like as a center. And I'll be really curious what your questions are. But I'm going to turn it over to Carla Costa, who can tell you a little bit more about the career community model through the lens of what she does.
Yeah, so I'm Carla Costa, and I'm lucky enough to get to be the director of the Arts and Communication program in the Loeb. And I get to do a few kind of key things with students. One is one-on-one advising. So I work with students who are interested in the visual arts, literary arts, performing arts, working in museums and galleries, On the communication side, people who are interested in advertising, marketing, publishing, media, journalism and radio, and entertainment. And I get to take week-long trips with students. They're career trek trips. So we spend 1 week in one city looking at one industry almost exclusively through the lens of our alumni who have different roles. So entertainment is actually a great example of that. Every other year we go to Los Angeles for an entertainment trek, and we get to see, you know, shows being created on studio lots. We get to see writers and producers actually giving notes to editors on television shows. We get to meet with actors and TV writers. It's a really amazing opportunity. And it's also just a chance to really get to know Amherst alumni in a different way. So seeing them in their actual work environments and getting to hear about their work straight from them. And that's a big part of what the career community advisors do, is kind of create a community that traverses, you know, many, many years of Amherst students and alumni and creates a broad network of support. We build a portfolio of opportunities that way, and it helps us connect with a lot more employers so that we can bring in lots of different kinds of job and internship and experiential learning opportunities for you all in these special areas. Another way we do that is to actually bring people to campus to kind of replicate some of that experience with an alumni and residence program that we've been doing. So alums come and spend a couple of days with us. They meet with small groups of students. They do big events. They do sort of one-on-one office hours where they'll look at your resume or talk to you about ideas or dreams you have about doing this work, and kind of act as a consultant and a first connection sometimes for the work that you're interested in doing. One of my favorite programs that I started doing this year is actually something that would be really relevant for you all, and that's Intro to Careers in the Arts and Intro to Careers in Communications. And students have really loved it because I share with you not only what the work entails, but what are the mindsets and characteristics of people who do really well in that work, and who are some alumni that are doing work in this field, what are their different roles, and things like the timeline for looking for internships or different opportunities. So it's a lot of practical advice. Mostly what we do together is kind of map out a roadmap for your dreams, and then we figure out how to practically, Lego stack together the pieces that make that dream possible. And I would it off to Victoria to introduce herself because she plays a really important role in that process.
Thanks, Carla. Hi, everyone. My name is Victoria Wilson. I am not from New York. I'm from North Carolina. Born and raised, and I came to live in New England to work at Amherst with an amazing team of people that are at the Loeb Center. I've been at Amherst going on 4 years now. And my role is I'm the Associate Director for Internship Programs. So my role is I do advise students to do one-on-one advising for students that are interested in, and once they land an internship, helping them to figure out how best to successfully complete that internship. But the bulk of my job is focusing on managing our Charles Hamilton Houston internship program. So that program is a collection of internships that our wonderful team at the Loeb Center, we have a person who's dedicated to going out and finding opportunities from employers, many of them who are alumni, who are really keen to hire wonderful Amherst students to work with them over the summer at internships across various industries. So we enroll them into these employers into our program. We work with them to create really quality opportunities for students. And on the flip side, we work with students through the program, series of workshops and advising to really help them to figure out what is it that they want to achieve over the summer. Work with them to figure out kind of the best way they can market themselves for these internship opportunities. And again, really importantly, our team that works on this program, once a student gets an internship and leaves the campus for the summer, we don't leave you alone. We still want to work with you and still be engaged over the summer. That's the most important piece of our program, is making sure that when you are working with your employer and you're really engaged with the work, that you're really making sure that this is really connecting to your larger career goals, your larger personal goals. And that's really the point of our program, is, again, to kind of help you to explore personal and career, so that eventually when you are at the point you're a senior and you are ready to start thinking about that next step from Amherst, hopefully you will have had at least one summer, maybe 2, maybe 3, that you've gotten a chance to explore through the Houston program, and that you feel really ready to confidently take that first step with your first professional job outside of Amherst. And you have the tools to really be certain about the path you want to take. Or certainly, if along the way you decide that you want to pivot, the tools that you've learned through the program are helping you to figure out the best way to do that. So that is the Houston program. And in addition to myself, who's also an advisor, another, Emily Torella, she's the Assistant Director for Internship Programs. She's also an absolutely wonderful advisor who does workshops in programming. She often collaborates with Carla and the other program directors as well to implement some more targeted career-focused internship programming and resources. Also on the team is Marcella Maria Robinson, who works with students to get them enrolled throughout the Houston program and to help students navigate through finding and applying through our Handshake platform those opportunities as well. And then the final person on our team is Scott LaChapelle. He's our employer relations guy. So he's the one who goes out and finds these amazing opportunities. So it's a core team of 4, but really it's an entire Loeb Center that's working to make this an amazing program for students like you. So I'll hand it over to Christine.
Thank you, Victoria. It's really great to have the opportunity to talk to all of you about the role that I play along with my colleagues in the Loeb Center to support Amherst College students on their paths of becoming. So we're all here to support you as you figure out what your strengths are, what your values are, what you want to do with those things, both while you're in college and beyond. So the Office of Fellowships has really 2 portfolios. One is to manage the application and award process for what we call Amherst College Fellowships. This is a collection of about 20 funds that were started way back in 1850 that are donations by Amherst College alums for Amherst students from the time that they graduate up till about 6 years beyond graduation, who want to pursue further education through graduate school, whether that's for a master's degree or a PhD or a doctorate to teach at the college level, or medical school or law school, and so on. So Amherst has about $1 million worth of funds to support students like you when you get to the point of thinking about graduate study. Those opportunities, or those awards rather, are renewable for up to 3 years. So as you can see, that's just one example of the way that Amherst staff and faculty and administration like to continue to connect with students beyond the time that they're at college, but on into the years when they're alums. The other big area of advising that my office handles is that of fellowships. And that's a big term. It's a little hard to understand, I think, when you're just entering college, what those are all about. But fellowships are funds that have been offered by either individual philanthropists like Bill and Melinda Gates, or organizations that want to honor an individual, or even governments who want to give monetary awards to college students and older people to pursue something that has to do with their educational or cultural goals. So for instance, you maybe have heard about something called the Fulbright program. The Fulbright program is a fellowship that is run by the State Department of the US government. And the goal of the Fulbright program is to enhance relationships between people in the US and people abroad by deploying people in the US, college graduates, to go out and either teach or do research or pursue study in over 150 countries around the world. Another fellowship that my office handles that you may have heard of is the Rhodes Scholarship. You may know if you've watched recent elections and the run-up to the Democratic nomination, Senator Cory Booker was a Rhodes Scholar. Well, there are many, many more of these, many of which you probably haven't heard at all, but my role is to introduce you to them and let you know what opportunities exist, what qualifications the fellowship foundations are looking for, and what you can do with these opportunities. So that's where we begin. If you are interested in fellowship opportunities as an Amherst student, I would meet with you and talk with you about what the criteria for the fellowship are, and we would look at your activities, your skills, your academic accomplishments, and see whether or not that fellowship was a good fit for you. And then if you want to go through the application process, I would support you in writing your essays for the applications and also coach you in preparation for any interviews that might take place. Of course, if you win the fellowship, I would celebrate with you. And if you don't win the fellowship, maybe cry with you a little bit, but certainly help you figure out how to regroup and think about other options for your future. So those are the two main functions of my office. It's a two-person operation typically in my office, so not as large as the Loeb Center, but we work with a lot of campus partners. We work with a public speaking coach on campus and faculty, of course, to support you in considering and preparing yourself to apply for these opportunities. So I look forward to answering any questions you have about any of these internal or external awards that my office handles.
Thank you all for that wonderful introduction to some of the services that we offer at Amherst College. In my excitement to introduce you to these amazing opportunities, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Dale Hendricks. I'm a first-generation college student. I'm also a New Yorker via Jamaica, and I call Brooklyn home. So welcome for my New Yorkers or my fellow Jamaicans who are here listening to this wonderful panel. My first question, many of you have already addressed some of these in your overview of the college, but probably could flesh them out a little bit more. And the first question is, what opportunities are available for internships and how are they introduced to students?
Yeah, so through our Houston program and in general through our platform, Handshake, really a variety of internships across industries. So students who are interested in health, business, and finance, arts careers, those are what are available. In terms of how they're introduced, so I've mentioned Handshake a whole bunch of times, but every student who is enrolled in Amherst will have access to Handshake, which is our job and internship platform. So that is the primary way in which we market opportunities to students. So when you arrive on campus and you come to our office and you log into Handshake and work with an advisor, you'll be able to search on that platform to look at those internship opportunities. There are a variety of other ways that we also present students with internships as well. Our office regularly on a weekly basis sends out newsletters to students that list these internship opportunities. Again, also our career advisors often, will talk to students who they know are interested in a particular area. If something comes across our plate, we will push out to students as well and encourage them to apply. Through the Houston program specifically, we also, in addition to career columns, regularly put out a newsletter where we highlight specific internships that are in the program. And also because we have an established relationship with a lot of these employers, and we know them intimately and we're working one-on-one with students, we also give students kind of additional information about the company, what they're looking for, and are able to kind of play matchmaker. It's not exactly a match program, but certainly give you some insight to really let you know whether or not this is a good opportunity. It might be a good opportunity for you, and also how best you could market yourself for said opportunity.
Thank you for that, Victoria. The next question is directed at Christine, and the question is, how does Amherst fare with selective fellowships like the Rhodes and Watson, etc., and scholarships? And more importantly, why are these initiatives important for students? And also, in addition, are they available to international students, particularly those who are not receiving aid?
Mm-hmm. Great questions. So Amherst fares quite well with these national competitions. Currently, we're hearing back from the Fulbright program about whether or not our 27 semifinalists that we had this year have yet been selected for the awards. And the awards are notified country by country, so they certainly are not all in, but thus far we have 9 winners of Fulbright grants, which is a great yield thus far. We're eagerly awaiting the rest. Also this year, we've had a winner of the Knight Hennessy Scholarship, which is funding for 3 years, plus a lot of programming associated with it at Stanford University. We have a winner of the Schwarzman Scholars Program. Schwarzman Scholars offers a year-long master's degree in Beijing at Tsinghua University. And again, lots of leadership development and networking opportunities there. One of our juniors has won the Beinecke Scholarship. The Beinecke Scholarship offers $34,000 worth of funding for graduate school for a junior in the arts, humanities, or social sciences. We've had a Goldwater Scholarship winner. One of our juniors has won the Goldwater for her excellence in research in astrophysics. And I could go on. In previous years, last year, we had a Rhodes winner from Zimbabwe. He was an international student who won that award. And the best part about his story is that he tried for it 2 years ago, was a finalist, didn't get it, but tried again. And the second try, he got it. And he's now studying at Oxford. There are lists of all of our awardees on my web page, so you can see going back several years of our lists of awards. But Amherst certainly is proud of the students who have become finalists and winners in all the different competitions. In terms of opportunities for international students versus US citizens, there are several opportunities for international students. For the US citizens, the opportunities are a little more numerous because many of them are offered by the US government. So they are only for US citizens, or by governments of other countries who are hoping to have US citizens go over there. For instance, the UK government has some of those. But the Rhodes, for instance, recently opened its opportunities to citizens of all countries, and in fact also to students who don't have citizenship in any country. So there's now no place on the globe where someone is from that they could not aspire to be a Rhodes Scholar. Other opportunities that are open to international students are the Schwarzman Scholars Program, the one I mentioned before for study in China, the Knight Hennessy Program, and one that so many of our students just love, which is the Watson Fellowship. For those who aren't familiar with that, the Watson is only open to students from a certain collection of colleges and universities, and Amherst is happily one of those. The Watson affords you a year of travel exploring a project of your own design, and every year Amherst is able to nominate 4 students for the Watson. Some years we have 3 out of 4 of our nominees win. Other years maybe only 1. It varies from year to year. But we have a long history of Watson winners, 50 years of them, in fact, and it truly is a wonderful opportunity, also open to international students. And our internal awards are of course, open to all Amherst students and alums. So there are no restrictions on that, and therefore awarded on the basis of academic merit and financial need. But most of the nationally and internationally competitive fellowships are not awarded on the basis of financial need at all. They're primarily academic merit-based fellowships and are looking for other characteristics such as leadership, service, community involvement, and a sense of personal mission. I think I answered all the facets of that question, but if I didn't, please let me know.
Yeah, just a little follow-up. As a first-generation college student, when I went off to college, many of these amazing fellowships I wasn't particularly familiar with. Why is it important for students to pursue some of these fellowships and scholarships and initiatives in terms of how it might shape their future career path, whether it's applying to graduate school or potential job opportunities moving forward?
It's wonderful for students to become aware of these opportunities for a couple of reasons. First of all, of course, because who wouldn't want fully funded graduate school or even a good chunk paid for? The other component, though, that makes these fellowships attractive is in the same way that once you come to Amherst and then you become an Amherst alum, you have this cohort of people on whom you can depend, not only socially and emotionally, that will certainly happen, but also in terms of exchanging ideas, networking, professional contacts, and so forth throughout your whole life. We see this with the Amherst Alumni Network beautifully for generations and generations. And I think Carla spoke to this when she talked about employment opportunities and exposure to different sectors and how the Loeb Center will call upon alums to do that. But also these fellowships offer not only the network for life, not only the funding, but also an association with like-minded individuals that can spur one on to really, to use an old cliche, be the best you can be. So each one of these fellowships has what we might think of as an ideal candidate. And once you learn what the criteria for a fellowship are, it may give you an idea about the kind of person you want to be. So for instance, I'll just use the Rhodes and Sets an example that everyone knows. Their byline is standing up for the world. And I love that byline because it expresses who they're looking for. They're looking for people who want to use their talents and their energies and their intellect for something bigger than themselves, for something that is going to benefit maybe a small community or a large society or a whole country or relations between countries. And that kind of thinking about those kinds of ideals that the fellowship sets forward can help you think about who you want to be. And one of the things I like to remind students is that if you set your sights on applying for one of these fellowships in your first year of college or your sophomore year, and you do things to try to develop yourself and make yourself the kind of person who would get awarded by that fellowship, even if you don't win the fellowship come senior year or when you're an alum, you're still that person that you worked hard on becoming. So fellowships can serve as almost like a hero in the same way that we would think of a hero. I want to be like that person, or I want to have that ideal that I'm shooting for. And I think that's part of the value of them.
Thank you for that. This next question is directed to anyone feel comfortable answering this question. How does a career center help students with finding the right graduate school? And what percentage of students typically go to graduate school from Amherst, and what fields do they typically pursue?
I can answer that. The way that the Loeb Center works with students, it depends on what kind of graduate programs that they're pursuing. So I would very roughly break graduate school into two buckets. So one being pre-professional and the other being academic. So in the pre-professional bucket, we're talking about medical school, law school, I'd say business school, but there's really not a pathway out of undergrad straight into business school. So it's a little bit less common for us to work on that. And so for those types of graduate programs, the Loeb Center is deeply involved. We have a pre-law advisor who works with students on making decisions about their target list of law schools, who helps students with their applications, who educates students about that process. We have in our health professions program, it's actually a 2-person career community, not a 1-person career community. And the reason for that is that they have this whole other piece of their portfolio where they shepherd the medical school application process each year for graduating seniors and young alumni who are applying for medical school. And so that's probably our most robust preparation for any graduate school destination. And that process starts for medical school. That really starts in the first year with engaging with students and making sure that they're educated, making sure that you would all know about what are the prerequisites academically for applying for medical school, what might you want to be thinking about in terms of your coursework, other types of opportunities and activities, certainly working with Victoria on appropriate summer opportunities, but also academic year opportunities, on-campus opportunities, things like that. So that's a really robust operation supporting students into medical school. The other bucket for academic programs, I would say that the chief supporters are really faculty members. They're the people who know the most in-depth knowledge about what are the best programs, what are the nuances between all of these programs at various graduate schools, what does it take to be successful as a graduate student, because they've all done it. That's why they're in academia, and that's certainly not the only destination through an academic graduate program, but they're very knowledgeable. And so in those cases, I would describe the role as the Loeb Center is essentially being like a co-project manager, like a co-pilot in terms of process. So the way that I work with a student who's applying for graduate school is, first of all, I make sure that they're talking with their faculty and getting really good advice about their list of target schools, really good advice about their personal statement, that they are seeking out the right number of faculty letters of recommendation, that they're doing all this in a timely basis, when to take the GRE. I look at personal statements and provide feedback, and it's a lot of like being a helpful accountability partner, because it can be a daunting process in senior year. So in terms of how many students go to graduate school, the number is low right out of graduation. The last couple of years, the rate for graduating seniors going straight into graduate school was 11%. So that tells you a lot. That really tells you that the vast majority of students feel like they need to take some time, not being a student, getting some experience, doing some exploration in other ways, and then it's always there waiting for them. The statistic, the most recently available statistic I have about graduate school attendance in general is that 80% of Amherst students attend graduate school within at some point, and the vast majority of those, it's within 5 years from graduation. So that's typically what happens. It's less common to go straight into graduate school, but it's less common to not go at all. And so, yeah.
Thank you, Emily. My next question directed to the panel is, how easy is it for Amherst students to do a joint degree program? For example, MD, PhD program, or business med school. Is this something that Amherst students will typically do, whether it's a year or two removed from Amherst, but are those opportunities available for our students?
So if you're talking about postgraduate dual degree programs, it's as available to Amherst students as it would be to anybody else. MD, PhD programs are very, very competitive. And it's rarer for people, honestly, to be the specific profile that really kind of would get the value out of doing that particular degree. But certainly we have lots of alumni who pursue joint law and international relations, all kinds of joint degree programs. I don't have statistics on what percentage of graduate school attendance is within joint degree programs, so I don't really have the landscape on that. But if anybody else from this panel has a little bit more info, feel free.
we can follow up on those questions. I also just want to remind students there are other opportunities to connect directly with Amherst and to get your questions answered, which I'll flush out at the end of this panel. But my next question directed at the panel is, let's say you're an Amherst student and you are uncertain, unsure in terms of what career to pursue, what major, how is the Career Center work with students to help them flesh that out or to get a better sense of what it is or how they should take their education / their career projections.
I'd like Carla to weigh in just as a career committee advisor on how does she work with students. I mean, if you're going to go to talk to Carla, you already have some orientation towards her career community. But I will ask her to talk a little bit about how she might kind of take a student who's just starting out, who's not had an internship before, and think about exploring. But at its most basic level, we do have 2 staff members who work on generalist advising. So there's a very specific appointment type that you can find in Handshake that you can book with one of those advisors where you can do some assessments. I know in high school I did the Myers-Briggs, and a lot of you probably have as well. There's another assessment that we commonly do called Strength Finder, and we also have a host of other activities and also in-person events that help students reflect. So we would work with you to think about your values. We would help you think about and do an analysis of, what are your strengths, what are skills that you'd like to develop, what draws you to want to develop those skills, what are your interests academically, and how might that map to something you want to do professionally or not map, and that's also completely okay. What are the expectations and values in your family or community, and how do you reconcile that with other pieces of your identity? These are all kind of big existential questions that can often come up and really help people find kind of their first footing. But what I would emphasize, and if Victoria wants to weigh in on this too, I absolutely welcome that. I think sometimes students can get themselves into like a little cul-de-sac about like, well, I don't know what I want to do, so I'm not ready to go to the Career Center, and that's very counterintuitive. It's actually when you should go, or I don't really know what I want to do, so it's too early to look for an internship. An internship is a great vehicle for trying something out that's relatively low stakes. You might have an internship and absolutely hate it. That's great. Come back and tell us what you hated about it. Like that could be like a huge, huge revelation of information for you that helps you take your next steps, increasingly thoughtfully and informed with real life experience. So we have a lot of ways that we can help you just kind of take that first foot forward. You do not have to sit and figure it out in your brain all by yourself. The real focus of the Loeb Center is experiential learning, because we really believe that the way to get that knowledge about what you might want to do is to actually take little action steps, make little experiments, try different things for real. We always say like boots on the ground experiences. You really kind of can't set a foot in the wrong direction as long as you're open to reflection and recalibration. But yeah, Carla, if you want to talk a little bit about how you might work with a student who's just starting out, and Victoria, if you have anything to add on the internship piece.
Yeah, I would say that sometimes I meet with people and they know exactly what they want to do, and they go out, they do it, they keep doing it, they keep stacking experiences, and they get to the end of their Amherst career and they're going right into that work. Sometimes they do all of that and they get to the end of their Amherst career and they decide they want to do something completely different, and that's great too. Sometimes they have a first experience and they think it's exactly what they want to do, and then it's like what Emily said, it's terrible and they change their mind, or they realize the work is really different than they think it was going to be. And so what we do as career community advisors is definitely build on some of those experiences you can have with the Loeb really early on, when you have absolutely no idea about what you even want to do or what it even means to do something. So we kind of build on that, and we go through that process over and over again in different ways. So even when someone has a really great summer internship and it makes them feel certain about the work that they want to do, and they feel really psyched about the skills that they built, they might still feel at a loss for what comes next. So we kind of help clear the cobwebs out and like the brush out of the pathway, and help like keep clarity about what the goals are for the individual, like what they want to learn in the next opportunity. And it might be something that they learn through an internship or an experience that has nothing to do with the field exactly. It might not be totally obvious, but it would be the vehicle for getting those skills and learning experiences. So we try to keep the process open and think about it as like, for the rest of your life, it will be like a process of elimination. You'll have an experience and you'll think more this, less that maybe, and we'll keep building towards like this ideal setting, and you'll always be changing. So the process will always be changing, but what we give you is a sense of what that process is and the tools to navigate it, so that you can always be figuring out like what you want to be when you grow up, no matter what age you are.
Yeah, I don't have much more to add other than what Carla and Emily has said, other than internships, yeah, are the perfect, or like probably one of the ideal experiential learning opportunities. A lot of students who come and meet with me think that in order to get started with an internship that they already have to know exactly what they want to do. And I'm like, no, I love working with the students who have absolutely no clue what they want to do. It's actually, it's really exciting getting a chance to kind of dive in. I always warn students when they come to meet with me that I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of questions, because I want to start to, to really start thinking deeply about what it is that you really love doing. What is your passion? What are skills that you think that you possess? What would you always want to learn how to do? And then internships are a chance for you to test that. Of course, employers are looking for students who have like a key set of skills, because at the end of the day, yes, they want to get certain tasks done. But a lot of employers have an understanding that this is a test space for you as well. And they're just as invested in helping you to grow and be a mentor to you as well. So they're perfect little nuggets of like real world experience, but with the safety net built in as well. So you can feel comfortable in getting outside of your comfort zone, trying something for 8-10 weeks. And then knowing, at the end, you could discover that this is an unknown passion that you had, and this is perfectly okay, at the end of it, you could say, I never want to be in a lab ever again. I tried it for 10 weeks and I didn't like it. And now I know I need to be out and interacting with people. That is a win. It's not a failed summer. That is a successful summer, because you know more about yourself. So absolutely, any student who doesn't know, you can still make an appointment and still talk about internships. And that's what last thing to add.
Thank you for that, all three. That was a wonderful answer. My next question is, how easy is it to find these internships, and how easy it is to connect with Amherst alums? And are these opportunities available once you graduated from the college?
Yeah, the question of how easy is it? That's, it depends on the opportunity itself. It depends on the student. So I'm always open with students, especially first years, that yes, there are some employers out there who absolutely, they are looking for juniors or upperclassmen. They have a certain kind of idea about the kind of student that they want to have in their internship. And oftentimes those employers are very upfront in their job description about exactly what it is that they want. And certainly if you were a first year, or if you were, even a sophomore and you're looking at that internship, and if that's something that you want to do, take a look at that job description and really think about, what can I do now to start kind of making myself more competitive so next summer I can do that. So yes, there are some opportunities that are a little bit more competitive, certainly if you are a computer science student who has always wanted to work for Google, know that there are hundreds of students across the world who also want to intern at Google. So when you apply for those internships, you are competing with a lot of students. However, there's more than just Google out there. There are more than just those gigantic companies. There are really small, there are small companies out there who are looking for really bright, talented students as well, and who are like, yeah, you're a first year, that's fine. You've never had an internship before, that's great. I get to take a student who's untested and I get to actually to work with them and to teach them the way that I want things to be done. So maybe those aren't as competitive as a larger company. Maybe if your junior year, you know that you want to be here, you might start out with a smaller company and slowly build up your skills until you're competitive. So it's mixed, and kind of our job at the Loeb Center is kind of to help students kind of decipher that process and to figure out a strategy for finding an internship. So I'm sorry, Dia, what was the second part of the question? I forgot. Oh, you're muted still.
I'm on mute. How easy is it to connect with Amherst graduate, fellow alums? So if I wanted to reach out to an Amherst graduate, is that a difficult process? Are they available to current students? And also, are these opportunities available once you've graduated from the college? Can I be still engaged with the Amherst community, particularly the Career Resource Center, the Loeb Career Resource Center?
So I can answer the alumni part and or the engaging with alumni. I might pass it on to someone else to talk about kind of what happens after you graduate. But certainly with Amherst alumni, so one of the beauties of coming to Amherst and coming to a smaller college, Amherst has a really engaged alumni network. Alumni who really are invested in wanting to reach out and talk to students and to give back. I went to a really large state school. I won't name it, but it's in North Carolina and it's pretty big. And I don't have the luxury, I didn't have the luxury when I was an undergrad, and even now it has such a gigantic alumni pool. It's often difficult to kind of plug in and really have an authentic networking experience. One of the advantages of coming to Amherst is as an undergrad, you have access to the alumni directory, and you could reach out to an alum through that directory. And you actually would be surprised by the number of alumni who are actually willing to do an informal chat with you over the phone for 15, 20 minutes. Sometimes they're just giving out advice. Other times they actually are willing to connect a student to an opportunity. So compared to certainly some, you going to a huge state school, it's relatively easy. Also through our office as well, like we have an alumni in residence program where alums come back to Amherst and do panels and office hours with students, and that's across the career communities as well. So it certainly is easy to engage with alumni, and that is an advantage. But in terms of kind of after graduation, kind of what opportunities are available, I'll pass on to Carla or Emily for that.
Yeah, I'll just say quickly that we can work with alums up to 5 years out from graduation as career community advisors. So that means that before my role even existed at the college, there are students that graduated then who have reached out to me, and I've been able to help them kind of with early career experiences, or people who are just learning more about what they really want to do after some initial experiences and kind of setting some serious sights on some career goals, and we work together on those things. And just to emphasize how it all goes together, like on these Trek trips, we'll have, a whole week of programming and site visits with just alumni. That's how many alums want to engage in just one trip. And during those trips, we even have a young alumni dinner where those people are gathering and they start to get connected to other alumni as well. So it's like a huge family that we just keep mixing together, and the experience doesn't end when you leave Amherst.
I just want to, I second everything everybody said. And yeah, Carly gave a great example that on any given track, like how many alumni are interacting with students. In a given year, the Loeb Center involves between 400 and 500 alumni in our programming, like over the course of a year. That's how many points of contact we have that are meaningfully involved in our work. And I think the statistic from last year was that over 800 students use the alumni directory. So that's above and beyond the alumni that we proactively involve in our programming. Students have that, accessibility to find alumni on their own for conversations or just to research them and get some information and find to Christine's really inspiring example, kind of find their own heroes and examples to study and to aspire to. And I also will say, the role of alumni engagement is so deep at Amherst. It's actually pretty unusual, the level of their engagement. It's actually why the Loeb Center has the resources that we do. We have the funding to support internships to the incredible extent that we do because of alumni generosity over the years and financial contributions. We have programs in the Loeb Center, these career community distinct programs. We have the luxury of that because of alumni support. There are alumni that are so invested in student career development and in postgraduate outcomes that they've really directed their philanthropy towards this on campus, as well as a lot of other centers on campus. But it's just been really remarkable what we've been able to do. And it's really because Amherst alumni are so committed to the success of current students, and they put their money where their mouth is, and they really put their time and talent where their mouth is as well. It's an inspiring community to be part of, and it's not shared at every institution that I've been a part of either.
Well, thank you all, Christine, Carla, Emily, and Victoria. That has been wonderful. We're coming up on the end of our time, and I also would like to give participants an opportunity to participate in the panel that's following this one. And I also would like to call your attention for other opportunities to engage with the Amherst community via the admitted student portal, where you could zoom into Amherst, have opportunities to chat. I would also like to call your attention to the panel conducted by our Dean of Admissions, Matt McGann, with the President, Biddy Martin, on Sunday at 4 p.m. I encourage you to take advantage of that opportunity. She is amazing, and I encourage you to get an opportunity to spend some time with her. You could also have questions directed to her as well via that panel. Thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure, and we look forward to welcoming you to Amherst College sometime in the fall, we hope. Thank you so much.